What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports. We're really excited to be supporting the Free Agent Friday series. A lot of great talent out there. Without further ado, this is the next free agent you should be signing with your sports team.
All right, we're back for another episode of Free Agent Fridays, and I have Zach Curtis with me. How's it going, Zach?
It's going good, Andrew. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining me.
First, thank you for having me.
Let's kind of jump into where you went to school and any degrees that you have.
Sure. So I graduated from Longwood University in 2017. I originally went to school and I was kind of undecided when I declared or when I decided to go to school. And they had a program there that they Longwood called the Compass program, which is for undeclared people such as myself. And it kind of let you get a feel for everything the school had to offer. From there, I just kind of gravitated towards public relations and communications. I first really wanted to go into history, but I elected to not go into that as I went into common PR, and eventually just taking more and more of those classes just led me to enjoy the major, and eventually decided to major in that. So it was a fun time there. Had a lot of good experiences there, learned a lot, and really enjoyed the class structure there, and a lot of hands-on and real world experience. A lot of my tests and finals were not really, look at 50 questions and answer the 50 questions correctly. One of my finals was we were given a PR issue for a company and we had to solve the issue. And
Cool.
we were graded on how well our professor determined we solved the issue. So that's something I really enjoyed about how they taught the material to me.
So at what point did you decide you wanted to work in, sports and entertainment?
So growing up, I still am a huge fan of motorsports. Growing up, I wanted to be a race car driver, and eventually, after looking at the costs of getting into it, I looked at it and said, I do not have anywhere close to this amount of money to even get started. So it was about then, I was probably in middle school, where I said, I'm going to figure out how to get behind the scenes in it. And from there, I said, I can either try to get into broadcasting and go the route of being behind the camera, or I can go and try to work in the marketing or public relations side of it. And I think in high school is really when I had a teacher, she was my English teacher. She was very impressed with my writing skills. And she said, you could really do something with marketing and public relations. You should really try to look into that in the college. So that's kind of where I took it from. And just from there, I said, I might as well turn something I love into a career. And there's always that old saying, if you do what you love, you never really work a day in your life. So I figured if I can turn what I love into my career, I should have fun with it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's my number one rule is follow your passion first, and you will be happy. So did you were in school? Did you do any internships in sports or entertainment, or any other volunteer work?
I did. I interned for Longwood's athletic department for a semester. I was the timekeeper for field hockey in the fall. So I was in charge of operating the time and scorekeeping for the game. So I went in there and I didn't really know a whole lot about field hockey, so I had to learn the sport on the fly. And there's a lot of stoppages in field hockey, which I was totally unaware of when I got into it. But I eventually learned to enjoy the sport, and I wouldn't really call myself a huge fan of it, but I can look at the field hockey when the Olympics roll around and get an understanding of what's going on. So that was a lot of fun. And then when basketball started up in November, December, they had me doing music for the games. So they had me doing music for intermissions. They had me controlling the audio and video for the pregame and halftime. So that was pretty cool. It was real bang bang, and when you're going through that pregame ritual of the anthem, and then you had the video for the introductions for the basketball team. So I had a little bit to work with the soundboard. So that was a lot of fun being able to get that experience, and that was my first real experience in sports.
That's good. It's always good to get something in there if you can. When you got out of school, did you have something lined up, or what was your first position out of school?
So out of school, I didn't have anything lined up. I actually went back and worked as a recreation aide for my county's Parks and Recreation program. So I was working with middle school youth for the summer, which was a pretty good gig. It was Monday through Thursday from 8 to 4 every day, and I had Fridays and weekends off, so that was pretty cool. But after that, I did another internship with a healthcare company here in Richmond for a few months. That went from about August to December, and that was okay. It wasn't one of my better work experiences. And then after that, a position opened up at Richmond Raceway as they called it the pro. It was event marketing, so I would show up and head out to an event and promote the racetrack there. And once I got into that, I just fell in love with the position, and it was a great way for me to really get my foot in the door.
When you left, I saw you left there and went to Talladega Speedway, and then kind of came back to Richmond as well. What, how'd you like Talladega and the role that you were working on there?
Yeah, so what prompted that was I was still on the promo team at the time, and I was told by a couple of people at the racetrack that said, hey, there's this internship in Talladega. You know, if you really want to do this as a full-time job, you should really look down there and apply for it. And if you get it, just go down there and you've got to take it. So I applied for it, got the role, thankfully, to my connections at Richmond, who were able to put in a good word for me. I got the role, packed up, moved down to Alabama, found an Airbnb in this small town that was probably about 20 minutes away from the track. It was above a lawyer's office, and she owned the area, and she would rent it out for it. So I ended up paying her a certain amount of money a month to live in this little studio. So I went down to Talladega. I was a marketing and fan engagement intern there. It was a little bit of what I did at Richmond with the street marketing events, going out to events. So we would go to places in Atlanta and Birmingham and pretty much all over central Alabama. And then there, I also had a little bit of hand in writing and creating copy. And the big thing I did was billboard designs. So I was helping the digital and social media manager out there with creating designs for the billboards for the upcoming October race. So it was a good experience. Talladega is an awesome place. The only regret I have, and thankfully it was good, is that I did not get to go through a race week in there, because Talladega, you know, as a racing fan, Talladega is kind of one of the biggest races of the year. And the things that happen there are just absolutely insane. And it's really one of those things you have to see to believe. So I'm a little upset I didn't get to experience there, but it was all for the good. So hopefully I can be able to go back to Talladega and take it in.
And then when you came back to Richmond, was that more of a full-time position at that point?
Yes, that was a full-time position there. It was a marketing coordinator role. And again, it went right back to the event marketing. They needed someone to run the same street team that I was a part of. So I came back and they hired me into that role, and I really hit the ground running since I joined in middle of August, and our race weekend was the second weekend in September. So I joined and it was just immediately get to work. So I really enjoyed that there. It was pretty stressful for the first couple of weeks trying to get acclimated to a new job, but they figured since I had worked there in the past and I kind of knew how a race weekend operated, they could throw me in there, and I had a good idea of what was going on.
Yeah, it helps. And especially they know, you know, what to expect from you somewhat. So that always helps. So what's kind of your ideal job next? I mean, what are you looking for?
I still really want to get back into racing, even though obviously with the impact that the current world climate has had on everybody, a lot of people have been in the same boat I have. But I just love it. I love it. I want to get back to it. I keep thinking about how much fun that stress of the event week is, and the time leading up to it, how we're all running around like maniacs, basically trying to get everything we need bundled together before the weekend starts. And I just live for it. The event weekend is fun for me. So I want to either get back to that, or what my dream goal has always been to work for a race team, either working in the marketing side or doing public relations for one of the drivers. That's really been one of my big goals. And it's been something that I've wanted to do for a while, and just getting into that role would kind of be like a dream come true for me.
Yeah. I wasn't really into NASCAR too much or racing, but I was a finalist for a job at Atlanta Motor Speedway, I think is what it is. And it's cool, man. It's huge. The just everything. And it's kind of cool, you know. And, you know, as I'm getting into the job hunt, you know, I always do a lot of research. So I'm getting more and more into NASCAR. So I just thought it was interesting. But
well,
it's always
it's definitely one of those things that the first time you go to an event in person, it just blows your mind. I had the liberty of taking one of my roommates in college, took him to Martinsville, Virginia for his first race there, and he was just blown away, and he's been hooked ever since. So being able to take that and show the experience to somebody who not necessarily was a fan before, and watching them turn into a fan, you know, heading home, and it's like, whoa, that was really cool. Like, we should go to another one sometime. And seeing that same experience I had when I was a kid, when I went to my first race, from somebody that is just getting into it, is always really cool.
Well, when I was a kid, my grandparents lived 15, 20 minutes from Pocono Raceway. And
okay, cool.
I never went to a race, but I did get to drive on the track when I was like in middle school.
Cool.
And I could hear the race from their house, and it was like 15, 20 minutes away. Could hear it.
It's
No
up there.
problem.
We would always send out letters about a month and a half in advance before the race, and we would send out to anybody that lived within I think 5 or 8 mile radius of the track, and just letting them know, like, hey, there's going to be a ton of equipment coming through on this week, and it's going to be really loud this Friday and Saturday night.
Right.
So just so you know.
What would you say is your biggest skill that you bring to the table for a new position?
I bring a passion into it. So anything that I get into, I dive into it full on. I can come in and learn something on the fly pretty quick, and I can hopefully demonstrate that knowledge. If I'm talking to a fan base, I can bring that to them and share an experience, I guess, is one of my biggest skills. So when I was at Talladega, I didn't really know a whole lot about the track. I had seen it there, but I hadn't attended a race. So trying to speak to that fan component, trying to talk to fans to convince them to come to an event was difficult for me since I didn't understand it. So I did a deep dive in my free time, and I went and tried to learn the fan experience and what it is at the track and how I can better translate that to the fan base. So I would say people skills and communication skills are two of my solid strengths.
What is the biggest area you need to work on?
Time management and organization. Those are two of the things I need to work on. When I was working full time, I had a big folder that I had all these contracts in that I had signed up, but I did not organize them by date. And if I needed one, I would just pull it out and then put it right back into the folder with no rhyme of where it went. So organization has always been a struggle for me, and it's just something I'm constantly working on trying to get better at it.
Yeah. I mean, and that, those are things that you will improve on as you go, as you feel that they are becoming more important, and it helps you be more efficient and everything else. So how would you define success?
For me, success is, again, I go back to the event weekend, is when I can sit back on Sunday and look at a newspaper article and look at all the fans in the stands, or even on the event deck, and look at all the fans in the stands and around the area. I'm like, these people are having a great time. And if I've made sure they're happy, then that's a successful weekend in my end. So that really is my biggest success, especially coming from sports, knowing that I've made somebody's weekend. This is something for a lot of people, for going to a NASCAR race is kind of their vacation. So these people will come in and camp for 5 days. And if I can roll by their campground and they're offering me, a snack or a water or something, just they see me busy on race weekend, like, hey, this guy's having a great time. That's great. I've made their weekend. I've made them happy. That's a success in my book.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's always great. How about, I like to kind of end our videos with a fun fact about you.
Sure. So I've obviously got a lot of passions in life, mainly sports. I grew up, my dad went to Virginia Tech, so we grew up big Virginia Tech football fans. I eventually got into the NFL from that. And as I got older, I started to get an appreciation for more and more sports. So I've unfortunately filled my entire weekends with nothing but watching sports now. During the current climate, it's been rather hard when we've had
there's nothing on.
There's nothing on. So in college, I got heavily into soccer and turned into a massive fan of the Premier League. So I've tried to spread that gospel to as much as my friends as I can, and like how great of a sport this is. So I'm just into so many different sports, and it seems to fill my weekend. Like a lot of people, try to get me to do something on a Saturday. It's like, I want to watch this random college football game. I don't really know who these teams are, but I want to sit back and watch it.
It's
so,
NAIA or
it's something random. It could be a random D1 game.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what it is. I'll sit back and watch it. So it's just my love of sport seems to take my entire life. But on a similar note, I'm heavily into gaming, and I really like sim racing. I got into that back in October.
What is it?
So I bought myself a sim racing. So it's called iRacing.
Okay.
It simulates racing.
You have like a whole setup?
Yep, I've got a whole setup. I ended up buying a big desktop computer. I bought a monitor and I bought a wheel, and I just dove right into it.
What's that cost to get set up?
It's pretty pricey to get set up, but I went and bought myself a real nice computer for about $1,400, and then I bought a good wheel and a monitor, and all of that ran me close to $2,000. And then my membership is $60 a year for the program. And then from there, you can buy the cars and tracks that you want to race in. So I got into that, and it's just been kind of an obsession since I started it. The first night I was able to race on my account, I started racing at about 6 in the evening, and I looked at my phone, and it said 12:30 a.m. It's like, I've really been sitting here doing this for 6.5 hours, and I turned off my computer. I was like, I've got to go to sleep. I said, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So I got into that, and it really helped translate into some work skills for me too, since Richmond Raceway got really involved into esports over the past 2 years. So NASCAR has an official iRacing series called the Coca-Cola NASCAR series, and it's 40 drivers. The age ranges from 18 to guys in their 30s, and they're professional drivers who race virtually, and they're run by NASCAR teams, and in Richmond's case, a track where they were the only track in it. And it blew up. I helped close a big deal for a sponsorship for them with Coca-Cola, and that was massive. And it's crazy to see how much gaming and esports has changed the climate of early sports in the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it's really changing. My 16-year-old son's really into it, so we set up a gaming company, and got him like a expensive PC, and we're picking up our first set of merch this
Nice.
next week, so we're launching that. So
yeah,
so it is
I'm
blowing up.
Doing my first PC upgrade here soon. I ordered another hard drive for it, so I'm waiting for more parts to come in so I can get some more storage on there. But I'll tell you, the people don't really understand the whole sim racing thing. It's very similar to flight simulators.
Yeah.
And once you get into it, they're certainly looking at, well, that set of wheel and pedals is really nice. What's that cost? $600? Yeah, I can swing that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'll have to check that out. I've seen some people doing that, and
definitely
I'm getting a little too old for the games, but I'm just not as good as I was. So
it just blew me away the first time on it about how competitive it was, and it really filled that competitive itch for me.
Well, Zach, I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully we can help you get out there, get in front of some more people, and get back working. So let's keep in touch, and good luck.
Will do. Thank you for having me on, Andrew.